Hello and welcome to Yadnya Investment Academy. Today we are going to do a detailed fund review. This is the most comprehensive review of a mutual fund where we have done reviews of all good performing funds and bringing you the reviews of the best. This review will be done using our proprietary methodology of green, yellow and red star, where green star means good performance, yellow means average, and red means below average performance. We will give these stars on more than 10 review parameters, and in the end we'll give you a summary. In this video we are going to review fund name SBI Focused Equity Fund, which is clearly the best focused fund in the category. Now, what is a focused category or focused funds? See, focused funds is a new category formalized by SBI last year, in which a fund cannot invest in more than 30 stocks. So it needs to stay focused in its approach of stock selection. So this category of fund works as normal multi-cap funds, where they have no restriction on the amount of allocation to large, mid or small caps. So why this fund of SBI is one of the best? Let's find out. So first parameter we are going to discuss is the market cap of the fund. Now this chart here shows how the portfolio market cap of the fund or allocation is changing in last 10 years. We have taken the data from January 2008. And we see the blue color donates large cap allocation of the fund, green donates the mid cap allocation of the fund, and yellow donates the small cap allocation, with red the cash allocation which the fund has. So we see that fund is clearly a more small and mid cap focused fund overall. It has been like that. Currently it holds almost like 36% in large caps, 18% in mid caps and 34% in small caps, and around I think 10% in is cash allocation currently the fund has. So clearly the fund is very small and mid cap focused, and actually the 36% currently, it is one of the highest allocation in large caps in last 10 years if we see. Overall, if we see the focused category, there is 61% allocation to large caps in the focus category. So this fund is clearly a very aggressive in the focused category fund from the market cap allocation or portfolio allocation perspective. Now let's understand from the fund house and fund start date. The fund belongs to SBI Mutual Fund, which is very big fund house. We know all that. That is 5th largest mutual fund house in India and is one of the oldest and was established in 1987. Fund was also started in 2004, so has seen all major market ups and downs. So for being an experienced fund and being a part of very experienced and large fund house, we give a green star here on this parameter. Another parameter we are going to discuss is asset under management of the fund and how it is changing in last 10 years. So we have plot the asset under management of the fund in blue color here, and the category average asset under management, how it is changing, and we have also plot the growth rate of the asset under management, how it is changing in last 10 years. So green is the growth rate of SBI focused fund and yellow is the growth rate of focused category. So if we see that SBI focused fund currently has around 3200 crore asset under management, which is pretty good, and fund even though has not grown so well as the category in last 3-4 years, but is catching up now in last 6 months. So hopefully this fund will grow well, and overall we are happy with the good asset under management it carries currently, and therefore give a green star on this parameter too. Next is the most important parameter, that are the returns, how the fund has fared and how much returns it has given consistently. So we will review the fund's return on various type of returns. So we will talk about trailing returns, we will talk about calendar returns, rolling returns and SIP returns. So we will first start with trailing returns from 31st October date. So we have put this data as on 31st October. So we see some phenomenal trailing return performances by the fund. So in last 1 year, the fund has given 1%, and which is much higher than the category average, as well as the benchmark, which is Nifty 500 TRI of the index we are considering here. And in 3 years, it is close to the benchmark but better than category average still. In 5 years it has performed very well, and then in 10 years as well the performance of the fund is way above category average as well as the benchmark TRI index. So overall, out of all funds in focus category, it is actually the best performance in 1 year and 10-year trailing return performance, which is phenomenal. So we are very happy with the trailing return performance of the fund here. Now next, let's understand the calendar year returns of the fund. We see that fund has so calendar year returns are basically the returns from 1st Jan to 31st December of a calendar year. So we have taken the data from 2007 till 2017, that is all 11 years, and we have plotted that, and we see that fund has given bad performances in 2008 and in 2013, so in which it was beaten, and in 2016. So in all these 3 years, 2008, 2013 and 16, it was beaten by both category average, which is represented in orange, and the benchmark, which is represented in gray. It was beaten by both of them. But if we see all other years, we see 2009, 2010, 2011, 12, 2014, 2015, 2017, all other years fund has beaten both benchmark and category average by good margin. So overall it has beaten both benchmark and category average 7 times out of last 10, which is very good since it is a small and mid cap fund, and we expect more volatility in the fund's performance, but it is less. And in bear market, where the market gave much negative returns, it gave bad returns definitely in 2008, but it gave wonderful returns in 2011 as compared to category average and benchmark returns. So we will not say that it is always a bad performing in bear market, even though it is we need to understand it is a small and mid cap fund. Let's understand a third type of returns where we have analyzed here, which are rolling returns, where we take data on various rolling periods of 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, from one date to other date, and we see how the fund has performed in all major one time to other time. So it is various observation points we take here. So we see that fund in 3-year period has given least performance it has given is 4.5%, and this data is from 1st Jan 2008. So the worst performance is 4.5%, and the highest in 3 years fund has given is 50.98%, that is CAGR. It's not absolute, so you should understand that. So it's a yearly performance 50.9%. And category average has given small negative returns of -0.9, and again a phenomenal 35.6%. But again the fund has, SBI focused fund has beaten category average comprehensively here. Similarly, if we see 5-year rolling returns, again we see a comprehensive better performance of SBI focused equity fund in both lowest returns as well as highest returns, and same is with 7 years. So big margin. Similarly, if we see probable low returns based on the standard deviation and mean calculation which we did, we see that funds performance is expected to be much better than the category average of focused category, that is, and it is in all type of 3, 5 and 7 years fund is expected to perform much better than category average. So it proves amazing performance this fund has given and is expected to give. Similarly, in SIP returns also, if we see 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, 10 years, in all observation points we see that it has given better returns than benchmark and category average. So overall fund has amazing, very good performance with no major negative point we saw in return performance, and fund is very consistent and has performed well in one bear market as well. So hopefully it will perform well in future as well. So we don't have much complaints, and hence we give 3 green stars on this parameter. Next parameter we are going to talk about is fund manager. The currently fund is managed by a fund manager, Mr. R. Srinivasan. He is one of the big name in the industry today in small and mid cap space. If we see when he joined, Mr. Srinivasan joined this fund in May 2009, and since his joining, the fund has given 25.45% CAGR returns, that is annualized returns, and category average has given 20%. So he has beaten category average by 5% since his joining, which is very good. And Mr. Srinivasan also manages SBI small cap fund from 2013, which is also one of the best performing small cap fund in the category. And even SBI equity hybrid fund, which is a balanced fund, which is a very big fund, almost 28,000 crores, is also being managed by Mr. Srinivasan and is also one of the very good performing fund. So overall, from the performance, I think there is no question we can put on Mr. Srinivasan's performance, and even he has been very stable with the SBI, and he has joined SBI in 2009. So overall, definitely deserves a green star on this parameter, no question about it. Next parameter we are going to talk about is sector diversification, and we see in this chart how the fund's sector allocation is changing in last 10 years, and we have plotted the chart from March 2008. We have plotted a 6 monthly chart here, and we see a very interesting trend here, that fund has not been focusing on financial sector actually till September or till March 2017. It had a good allocation, but not too much. It was actually 22% in March 2017, but after that fund has significantly increased its allocation to financial sector, that it is represented in the blue. And if we see, it has actually reduced its allocation to FMCG a little bit, and services sector has also been reduced. There is a reduction in the allocation to services sector as well, again on account of financial sector, because financial sector has increased tremendously. Actually from March 2016, it has like more than doubled its allocation in financial sector, and everything else has reduced. It seems like healthcare has reduced from 14% to 5% only. Chemicals have reduced from 12% to around 7% only. And if we see that financial sector is actually, this has been the trend actually, the 36% is the average allocation of financial sector in the focused category. So it is not too much actually. Even if it is 39 to 39% around currently, still it is not too much, because the average is 36%. So that has been the trend. So overall, definitely it's a skew, and there is a huge dependence on financial sector of this fund, and therefore we give a yellow star on this parameter, because it is as per the category average and nothing out of the way. Next is, let's understand how the stocks which they hold are diversified. Now this table here shows the top 20 stock of the of this fund which it holds as on August 2018, and these are the top 20 stocks here, and these are their current allocation, and these are the allocation of these same top 20 stocks in the past 10 years. How the allocation of these top 20 stocks which are there has been changing in last 10 years. So it gives a little approach of the fund manager, how frequently it changes the stocks, and how much time it takes for a stock to come into the top 20 or go out of the top 20. So if we see, since it is majorly a small and mid cap focused fund, we expect a large churning of stocks, because mostly in small and mid cap space there is a large churning, because the fund manager do not keep a stock for too long unless and until it is really a good or strong fundamental company. Now since it is now these are a number of stocks in portfolio this fund has been keeping. Since it's a focused fund, it cannot keep more than 30 stocks. Currently it has around 26 stocks in the portfolio, and fund decently has a long-term approach, I think. Like if we see total, there are 8 stocks in top 20, like Procter & Gamble, SDFC Bank, Divis Laboratories, Solar Industries, LG Equipments, and this great shipping company, so all these companies, Hawkins Cookers, has been in the portfolio of this fund for minimum 5 years consistently. So it means when it selects a stock, it do select from the long-term perspective. So And even if we see that it is a focused category fund, still if we see top 30 top 5 allocation, top 5 stocks allocation is not too much. It is only around, I think, 30% of top 5 stocks just contribute 30%, which is a very good and shows a good diversification the fund has in the portfolio. Let's understand how the portfolio turnover ratio has been. So portfolio turnover ratio means how much the portfolio has changed in last 1 year. So we see that fund in July in 2010, 2011, 2012 had a large portfolio turnover ratio. So it means it was changing the portfolio very frequently. It was buying and selling a lot of times in these 3 years. But after that, the SBI focused equity fund, which is represented in blue, has actually decreased its portfolio turnover ratio as compared to category average a lot. And currently it is just 45%. So 45% stock portfolio has changed in last 1 year only, as compared to 76% change by the category average, which shows that fund manager takes a long-term approach and has more conviction in its bet and do not change them too often. So overall, due to the long-term approach, good portfolio turnover ratio and good diversification, we give a green star on our parameter, which we said diversification of stocks parameter. Next is expense ratio. Let's discuss the expense ratio of both direct and regular plan of the fund. And we see that direct plan has a very high, the SBI focused blue chip fund is represented in blue. So it has a very high expense ratio as compared to category average. Category average currently is just 1.2%, and it is actually increasing. If we see the expense ratio of SBI focused equity fund is 1.5, and similarly if we see regular fund also, it is close to 2.5% as compared to category average of just 2.2%, and it has actually increased a lot in last 1 year. So even though it has a decent amount of asset under management, it clearly can reduce the expense ratio a lot, and therefore it deserves a red star on this parameter because it is much below category average. Now next parameter is for the people who like numbers, who likes to predict things based on various parameters, and we will discuss risk ratios. So we have plotted different type of ratios here. One is beta, which represent the risk, alpha, which represents the risk adjusted return, so it gives you return parameter of the fund, and standard deviation again represents the risk, and P ratio. So if we see that based on this, that blue is plotted here in last 5 years, fund has been a below category average fund. Now this is very interesting here. Even though it is a small and mid cap focused fund with large small and mid cap allocation as compared to category average, still this fund in last 5 years has kept this risk it is taking lesser than category average, which is, I think, phenomenal. Similarly, like even if we see standard deviation also, the fund's standard deviation, which represents a risk again, is slightly below category average and benchmark as well. So which is very good. And similarly, if we see alpha of the fund is consistently slightly above average. So orange is average, category average, so it is slightly above category average. So this fund actually is taking low risk, much lower risk actually, and is a moderately high return fund, slightly higher return fund currently. And even the P ratio of the fund is quite high as compared to category average and benchmark, which is expected given the nature of small and mid cap, and small and mid cap stocks mostly have higher P. So we expect that. So overall, I think it is a low risk and moderately high return fund, hence definitely deserves a green star on this parameter too. Now next is we see this is how the dividend the fund has given in the dividend plan. So we'll not talk about much here. So this is the summary of various parameters we discussed. So overall the fund actually has got 8 green stars and only 1 yellow star, that was in diversification of sector it is very skewed towards financial sector, and one red star in expense ratio, we discussed about it, is very high. So overall fund is an very good performing fund. The returns are very good, very consistent. Fund manager is one of the best. He has performed in all the funds he manages, and it has a good asset under management and risk ratio. It is a low risk and high return fund, which is very good. So overall, I think this is one of the best performing fund, not just in focused category, as well as if we see it, if we compare this fund with the multi-cap category, it is one of a very good performing fund, and you should definitely consider this fund in your shortlist if you are planning to invest in a good multi-cap fund. That is all on this today. If you have any question on this fund review, please do write in the comment section below. If you have any question on the methodology which we discussed, if there was any confusion, please do write in the comment section below, and we will try to solve this. We will bring such reviews of one of the best funds in various categories in coming months as well. It takes a lot of time for us to review these to collect all this data. So please bear with us, but we will try to get you the best of the best funds here and review them here, and you can start investing in these funds if you like. That is all we have on this topic. Jai Hind, have a great time ahead.